I was so eager.
Okay, we shall start.
Hey, I'm not remembering my last name. I'll say it 2 days ago. I need your last name. No. He's going to speak. Should I order that?
Here, oh yeah, you're there, okay. Shadow, oh, you are here, I don't know why I didn't see it. Sorry. Hannah. Okay. So first we'll finish what we left off last week and then we'll start something new. This was the book that you had last week. It said on it number 2. You didn't get it? Let me see if I have extra. This is definitely extra.
Oh, I would love an extra.
Okay.
This one? Oh, is this for you?
Yes, yes.
For you.
Oh.
I don't know.
I would think there is. You bought it? Yeah. Nice.
Here,
Did you
I'll
really heard
share.
about
I'll share with
her?
her.
No, give her some
Okay,
journal.
you and I will share.
I'm so awkward. This other name, she doesn't.
Okay, so this class was focusing on the question on the front page, which is, remember we said, again, this class is dedicated more towards what does the Rebbe say about the subject of Mashiach and its relevance to our times. And Wednesday is the general knowledge of Mashiach as it comes out of the Chumash, Tanakh, Rambam, Medrash, and so on. So we asked the question in 5, 7, 11, which is when the Rebbe accepted leadership. He already said then that this is the generation Mashiach is coming. And we asked the question, what was going on then? That was an indication that this is the time. I remember we said that the difference between this exile and previous exiles is in previous times, we were given a time limit. We were told Mitzrayim will be for 400 years, Babylon will be for 70 years. With this Gullus, even though they were warned in advance that there's going to be a Gullus and there'll be a destruction of the Beis Hamikdash, but we were never told a time how long it'll be, number one. Number two, even though we weren't given a time, we were given something else. We were given indications, signs, what the world will look like, what will be happening when it's about to take place. So we'll be able to be aware that it's about to happen because you'll see what's happening in the world. Those signs and those indicators that are pointed out in Tanakh, in Gemara, in Medrash, and other sources, those are the things that were happening then and they're happening now and they're continuing to happen. And that's why there's so much excitement about Mashiach now. What were the things highlighted? So we said there are four things which we highlighted. We spoke about 3, but we're up to the 4th. One thing we said was the Holocaust. That was a negative thing. The other thing is the teachings of the Zohar in such an open way. Another thing is the Tshuva movement. And the next thing is the development of technology. Development of technology, that's where we left off. And the question is, how does that have anything to do with Mashiach? So let me show you. how it has to do with Mashiach. So let's turn to the last two pages in this booklet. On top of the page, you should say Bracious and number 74. We don't have page numbers here, so there's no way to identify it. Okay, on top of the page, it says over here, it should say 74. It's the last two pages before the end. And this is the story of Parshas Noach, which you just learned, the story of the flood. And on the bottom, there's a line that's underlined. It's Pasuk Yud Aleph, the 11th Pasuk. It describes how the flood began. And it says it was the seven days that passed, and the flood waters were on the earth, right? And then comes Pasuk 11. In the 600th year of Noach's life, in the second month, let's turn the page, on the 17th day of the month, on that day, all the well springs of the great deep burst open, and the windows of the heaven were open, and the rain came down 40 days and 40 nights. In other words, there are two places which is the source of rain. One is from the heavens, like when it rains from the clouds, and the other is this water that comes out of the earth, the well springs. Right now, there's springs in different places in the world. It's very beautiful to see, but imagine if all the springs in the whole world open up and all the water comes gushing in, so there's a flood. That's what it says in the Chumash. In the Zohar, it says something which is an open, revealed prophecy. The Zohar was written, I think I told you, about 1,800 years ago. And this is what he says on this pasuk. Look, this came from a book. It's called Mashiach and Science. It's a book written by Professor Baranover and some other professor. What was his name? His name is Arya Gottfried. And this is not, I'm not talking about the book, I'm talking about the quotes. They're quoting from the Zohar. The Torah tells us in the 600th year of Noach's life, all the fountains of the great deep burst forth, and the windows in the heaven opened up. On this verse, the Zohar comments. Now, this is the quote from the Zohar. In the 600th year into the 6th millennium. Imagine, this is written 1,800 years ago. So he's saying when it's going to be the year 5,600, the gates of wisdom from above and the fountains of wisdom from below will open, and the world will be corrected as a preparation for its elevation in the 7th millennium. What does it mean if we're talking about wisdom? What does it mean, the fountains from above and the fountains from below? So the commentary on the Zohar say, the fountains of the great deep from below and the windows of the heaven means the higher wisdom refers to Torah and the lower wisdom refers to the sciences. That we're going to see a burst of information, a burst of knowledge, which is unprecedented in Torah, and a burst of knowledge which is unprecedented in the wisdom from below, which is in the sciences. Look at the next page. Now, this is the author writing. Indeed, we see that around that time started an additional revelation of Torah, which means that's when the new the new teachings came out, the hidden secrets of Torah, which were never studied before. That's when they started to really become and spread around the world in a whole new way. Exactly that time, the year 5,600. There was also a calculation in several holy books that implied that Mashiach will come in the year 5,608. That's another story. But when did the sort of industrial, scientific revolution began, that the whole world began to change? If you look at the books that write the history, it's all around that time, a few years before, a few years after. But basically, as we know, one invention led to another invention, and there was actually a revolution. We call this the new era in the whole existence of the world, with electricity and everything else that followed, was all around that time of the year. What's the year 5,600? That's 1840. So we see, this is, like I said, an open prophecy. The Zohar writes, when the year 5,600 comes, 1840, we're going to see a burst of wisdom of the inner secrets of Torah and a burst of wisdom of things that are science. So basically, even the fact that there's new technology in the world today, there's new knowledge, science, And this is not just information, it's changed the world. I mean, so many, we can say thousands and probably millions of people that years ago would have not survived certain medical conditions, today they survive. Tens of thousands of people that years ago couldn't have children, could have children today. Imagine we have heart transplant, lung transplant, kidney transplant. Think of all these things. These are miraculous things that nobody would have ever dreamed that it could be. And the same is with everything that we deal with, the internet and airplanes, all this.
It says 1839
It says where?
on the calculator. I did 5783 minus 5600.
Now, let's not forget that they overlap. In other words, when it's Tishrei 5600, it's still 1839. And then in January of 1840, it's still 5,600. Like right now, what year is it?
You're right.
So it's the same time, yeah. And anyway, it's not pinpointing the exact second. It means around that time, that's when it's
No, I
happening.
was just saying it's cool that it's correct.
Oh, thank you very much. Okay. So basically, we're saying here, we see clearly that the scientific revolution, which is a new knowledge in the science. By the way, it's interesting to know most of the major inventions that really changed the world, a lot of them, I think, came by accident. Somebody was doing something and something happened, and that led to this and that led to that.
That person was raping his roof. What happened?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you studied this in school, but a lot of the things happened by accident. Hashem wanted it to become. It's all this wisdom existed all the time. It's not new. They didn't create a new thing. They just discovered something which was never known before, that there's such a thing as all the things which we know today in technology. So this is another thing that now we're experiencing, and not only experiencing it, it's growing and it's advancing and progressing. In fact, there's exponential growth, because years ago, from one new invention to the next, it took 20, 30 years. Today, every few months, there's something new, and the old computer you've been using is already, ancient. Yeah. I say the word tape recorder, nobody knows what I'm even talking about. Somebody once showed, I don't know if it was true or not, but they showed a child a telephone, the old telephone, the rotary, and they asked them if you know what to do. And they were up and down, looking around like this. I had no idea what you're supposed to do. And these are things that we just went through this, and we went from telephones to this, and then with wires, with cordless. And today you can see everybody in the world. You can talk to everybody in the world in seconds. I mean, the whole world is changing, and it also could be used for Hashem. But besides the fact that it can be used for Hashem, just the mere fact that the wisdom of the creation is being revealed, it says here is a sign. It's a sign that Moshiach is coming. So these are the signs that we're talking about. Okay, now we're going to go to a new booklet here. Number 3. Number 3, if you don't mind, Chana. Thank you. And Chaya, do you mind giving this out over there? Yeah, thank you. Before we go to number 3, I want to raise another question. When we talk about the signs of Mashiach, it's a little bit strange, because one of the signs are the Holocaust. Another one of the signs are incredible, miraculous things happening, unprecedented discoveries in technology. How does it make sense that the sign that Mashiach is coming is either something very tragic or something very exciting? Shouldn't it be one or the other? If I would say, it's like, in English there's an expression, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Everybody knows what that means?
Yeah.
So you're in a tunnel, it's dark. I don't see the light yet, but I see the light at the end of the tunnel. So I would think that the closer you get to Mashiach, everything becomes better and better and better. And yet we say, no, it got so much worse. In other ways, it is getting better. There's more tshuva in the world. There's more technology being revealed. The hidden secrets of Torah being revealed. So how does it make sense? Here we say it's like labor, and therefore there's a painful time. Then we say it's like this, and therefore things are better. Let's make up our mind. How can it be that two opposite things are both a sign that Mashiach is coming? Is the question clear? Okay. I don't know the answer. No. I'm going to give you a suggestion of what the answer probably is. I'll try to explain it with a mushal. The mushal for the positive things happening, and that'll help us understand the negative as well. The mushal is a person is sitting. This is the mushal was given by one of the Hasidic masters in the older generation. And from that's why we use the mushal of a horse and a wagon, because that's what they had then. So a person is sitting in his wagon with the horses. He's on the road in town. He's on one of the streets in his town. And it's at night, but the street is lit up. Number one, there are lampposts. Number two, there's light coming from all the houses, okay? Now he starts moves down one street, another street, till he comes to the end of the town. And now he's starting to go to the road out in the forest. So now the light is no longer there, but there's still some light lingering from the town. It's not totally dark. It's dim, but there's still a little bit of light. He goes another 10 feet, it gets darker, but still a little bit of light. He goes another 20 feet, it's getting even darker, but there's still a little light. The further out he goes, the darker it gets, and there's still a little bit light left. And finally gets to a point where it's absolutely pitch black, totally dark. And then he keeps traveling, and suddenly it gets lighter and lighter and brighter. How does that make sense? It was already pitch dark because it got so far away from the town, and now it's getting brighter and lighter. How does that make sense? The further you go, the darker it should get. Picture yourself on the road in the wagon, and it's getting lighter. What would you think when you're seeing light?
The sun is rising.
What?
The sun is rising.
No, it's still at night.
Or I'm approaching another town.
Right. I must be approaching another town, and now I'm seeing the light of the town that I'm approaching. So the mashal that he gives is, how is it that there was a time where there were prophets and there were miracles, like in all the books of the Nevi'im, and then it started to become less and less and less, and all of a sudden comes the Baal Shem Tov and his students, and these are great tzaddikim. They're telling people about the future, about the past. They're telling them things, revealing secrets of Torah that were never known before. How is it that everything's getting darker and darker, and all of a sudden we're seeing all this happening? So he said like this: the Beis HaMikdash is our source of spiritual light. Once the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, there was a darkness in the world. But the first generation after the destruction, there's still some light. It's like the first 10 feet out of the town. The second generation after Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, it's a little bit darker, but there's still some light. Darker, 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 darker. Then how is it that at one point it starts getting brighter? So the answer is we're further away from the first Beis HaMikdash, but now we're getting closer to the third Beis HaMikdash. Not the first, the second. Now we're getting closer to the third Beis HaMikdash. So we're beginning to see a little bit of the light that's shining from the future Beis HaMikdash that we're approaching, like the city that we're approaching. Follow that example?
Yeah.
That's the example that he gave. What I'd like to add to it is, let's use the same analogy and ask another question. So I've been traveling for a long time, and Baruch Hashem, I'm beginning to see some light. What about my food supply and my water supply? Is it also getting bigger and bigger as I move further? That's getting less. The people in the carriage in this wagon are getting more tired and more exhausted from so much traveling, which means there's certain things that are happening which are weaker and darker and negative because we're further away from our starting point. And certain things are getting brighter because we're closer to our new destination. Correct? True?
Yeah.
Same here. Because we're approaching the third Beis Hamikdash, yes, there's some amazing things happening in the world, miraculous things, good things. But because it's not 5 years and not 10 years and not 500 years, but it's almost 1900, 2000 years from when the first Beis Hamikdash, second Beis Hamikdash was destroyed. So there's certain things in the world which actually are darker than they ever were before. And both are true at the same time.
This is how we know that Jews are good at retaining food.
Okay, I say that.
We've done it for that many years, you know? We've been traveling for so long, we still have food.
True. Okay, do you understand the comparison?
We'll never.
Hannah, I don't think you got it. What's your question?
No, I'm just like I just, it's very existential, it's like, why not?
Why what?
Like, I don't even know what my question is, it's just like, this is great, this is great, like, it's almost here, but like, why isn't it here yet?
Oh, that question, I can't think about it too much because then you're not in such a good mood. We have to think about that it's here. Our only question is, how can it be that positive signs are signs that is here and negative signs are signs that is here? In fact, when we learn the Gemara, we'll see more about some of the things that are happening today are like things that never happened before in the negative, some of them. How could that be a sign of Mashiach? It should only be positive. So this is the answer, because both things are true. We're further away from our original light, but we're getting closer to the future, and therefore we have both. Okay, so now we'll do this booklet 3, and the big question here is, people, when they hear that we're talking Moshiach coming, those who don't have a feeling for it, they say, how can our generation be more worthy than all previous generations? Come on. Rambam, Rashi, all these great tzaddikim, they didn't bring Mashiach. And we're going to bring Mashiach. In fact, I remember once I was in 770. It was right in the beginning when the Rebbe was talking about it, and this place was roaring with Mashiach. It is now as well, but then it was right in the beginning. And somebody got up to speak. It was a big farbrengen about Mashiach coming, and we can do it. And there was someone in the crowd, which is not from Crown Heights, a few guys together. And he's listening to the guy talk, and I hear him say to the other guy, they think all these great people before couldn't bring Mashiach. And they, with Coca-Cola and their Danishes, they're going to bring Mashiach. In other words, who are we? We're like little mice compared to the tzaddikim of the previous generation. If they couldn't bring Mashiach, how could we be so arrogant to think we're going to bring Mashiach? Right? That's the question. So let's see the answer.
We're not that arrogant.
What?
We're really that arrogant.
Let's see if it's arrogance or it's reality. So turn the page. I'm not going to do everything. I'm going to do where you see a check. This also comes from the book called From Exile to Redemption. Goodness and holiness are eternal. So when a Yid fulfills a mitzvah in the upper spheres, which means in the spiritual realm, this union between the neshama and Hashem is eternal. I don't know if you ever came across this thing in Tanya. It's something written in Tanya which is so powerful, it could send a person soaring for weeks and months. What does it say in Tanya? When a person does a mitzvah, let's say we do mitzvah. Again, there are people that argue, what's the point? You meet someone on the street, you ask him to put on film. There's not necessarily any follow-up. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. He puts on film, goes home, nothing ever changes. Usually you say, when you do one mitzvah, it'll lead to another mitzvah. But what if I knew that it leads to no other mitzvah? Is it really worth it, all that effort for just one time putting on film? One time a woman would light Shabbos candles? So the answer is yes. And one of the ways to understand this is, it says something incredible in Tanya. The Alter Rebbe says, everything we do here creates a union, creates something up there in the spiritual realm. This world is limited by time. So there's past, present, future. There are hours, there are minutes, there are seconds. The mitzvah this person did took a second. The mitzvah that person did took a minute. Before the minute and after the minute, there is no more mitzvah anymore. But when you do something down here and it makes an impression up there, whatever accomplishes up there is eternal forever. It's above time. So the mitzvah I did here for 1 minute up there is forever. It's a whole different outlook how we see the benefit of doing a mitzvah. But if that's the case, that means every mitzvah that ever you did from the beginning of time is still here. The impact is here, the effect is here. It doesn't get deleted, it doesn't get erased. It's eternal. If that's true, that means there's an accumulation now of millions and billions and trillions, and just keep going. There's no number of how much good deeds were done. Every tefillin, every mezuzah, every bracha, and every mesiras nefesh. It all is something that exists now, accumulates. And so what we have is like infinite good that exists right now that has been accumulated over the years. By contrast, what about averos, evil? Evil, by contrast, has no true existence. It's no more than a concealment of divine light. And therefore, when a person goes through some sort of a punishment, which we know is a process of cleansing, then that negative thing is gone. You do tshuva, it's gone. If he didn't do tshuva and went through some suffering, now it's gone. If he didn't go through anything in this world and goes through in that world, there it's gone, which means all the negative things that were done are gone. The klipa no longer exists. But the kedusha exists forever. So right now, there's a force in the world of millions and billions and trillions times trillions times trillions, infinite good things that were done. And with all that power, we are bringing Mashiach. That's the answer. In other words, we're not bringing Mashiach because we're greater than them. We're bringing Mashiach because of them. We're just doing the last thing, but it's all a result of everything everybody did, and together we bring Mashiach. But the most famous of all these answers, it's the same answer, just in different words, is if you take a look at the last page that's here. Also has a check, and it says a dwarf on the shoulders of a giant. A dwarf is a midget, somebody who's very small. Unfortunately, there's certain people, they don't grow more than 2 feet. Now, this person goes on the shoulder of a giant, and he could see further than the giant himself. Let's look inside. Early Jewish ethical writers compared to use the analogy of the dwarf who could see further than the giant because he's standing on his shoulders. In other words, would you say that this little pipsqueak who's 2 feet high could see more than a giant? Of course not. The giant is 100 feet high and he's 2 feet high. So how can he see more than the giant? Because he's on the shoulders of the giant. Because of the giant, he could see so far. In other words, the reason why we could bring Mashiach through davening, through learning, through tzedakah, through whatever we do, miftzayim, is because of all those people that lived before us and because of everything they did. And now we, on top of them, bring Mashiach. You want to bring a mashal that's a little bit more contemporary. Think of a computer. Today, you can get on a computer and you can make calculations that years ago, without a computer, would take you weeks to figure out. Weeks. Some of them would probably take you months. There are computers today that are such supercomputers that they can make millions of calculations in minutes. Years ago, it would take a team of who knows how many people, mathematicians or scientists, sitting down and figuring things out. It would take them months to figure it out. Now, today, a young kid could get to the computer, click on here, click on this, click on that, and make those calculations. Does that mean that this kid is smarter than all the scientists and all the mathematicians that lived before? No. The reason why he can do it is because of them. They were brilliant people, and with all their brilliance and wisdom, they finally put together what we have today as a very advanced, state-of-the-art supercomputer. And now all I need to do is press my finger here and press my finger there. It's like saying, is it possible that you should speak in America and see the person in the other end of the world? Wow. Only a brilliant person can figure out how to do that. No, you don't have to be brilliant. I think I told you once I was on an airplane. It was a JetBlue airplane. And it was the first, years ago, they first put in a new innovation. They put in front of each seat, there was a screen and a computer, and you can watch your own whatever you want. So they announced there's a computer in each seat, a new feature. We're excited to offer it to you. If you have any problems knowing how to do it, just turn to the youngest kid around you and he'll tell you what to do. So basically, today, a little kid, little children get on computers. So one of my grandchildren, when he was 4 years old, ordered a stack of things from Amazon. His mother had no idea, where's this coming from? She realized he got on the computer, pressed on whatever he needed to, and he wanted these toys that he wanted, 4-year-old. So how can a little kid do things that years ago took giants to do? The answer is because of them. They created this. Now it's all set. Once it's all set, you just need to press a few buttons and you can make it happen. The same thing is Baruchnius. It's not chas v'sholom. No one thinks that we're greater than them. That's ridiculous. It's because of them. Everything they did, now we just press the buttons. One more act of kindness, one more mitzvah, one more spreading of Torah, or whatever we do, mitzvahim, that is the final button we click on, and that makes everything happen. So that's the answer to this question. Any questions on the question or on the answer? I think it's pretty clear.
I have a question.
Yes.
What did the person react when he was told?
He got it. He said, yeah, makes sense. Okay.
I have a question where it's like off topic,
Okay.
it's more philosophical, but like you were saying that evil is just a concealment of divine light, so it's not eternal. So whatever bad happens is corrected or it's revealed somewhere in the higher space that it's not really bad.
Right.
Which like logically you could like assume that then like there's only good. And is that like a limitation that the good, like whenever we were kind of discussing that, you know, you can't like label Hashem, you can't label anything higher, but you would want to label it something. So I don't know, like is there no such thing as good? Like there's just like a level even higher that's like not there or something? Like
I don't understand the question.
I don't either.
Try it
but,
again.
Like so like good is eternal.
Right. Because good is godly and godliness is eternal. Right.
Right. And eternity is something outside of like our understanding.
True.
But it's still a limitation.
It's a limitation?
Yes.
Why?
Because like the infinite is framed from our finite. Like the infinite is in the finite. Like you're labeling something from our perspective.
Okay.
So like that's like the extent of what we can, like that's kind of like our ceiling.
Right.
Oh, is that it's just
We're saying it, I mean, it's from our perspective that we're thinking, oh, Mashiach didn't come before, so how can we make him come? And the answer is no, what was done before is what's leading to Mashiach. We're just saying that the good that was done exists, continues to exist. When I do something good, it's adding it to the load. You know, like the expression, the last straw that broke the camel's back. How could one straw break the camel's back? Well, if underneath the last straw, you know, there's a ton of straw there, then you add one more straw, it'll break the camel's back. So there's so much good that's ready to break the doors of Gullus, and then we just add one little thing and it comes and breaks. But we have to first accept, has to be a premise, that all the good that was done is still around. And then you can say, but on the other side, all the bad is still around. So the answer is no, the bad is gone and the good is still here. So it's not even a match anymore. But to say that what we perceive as infinite is still limited, that's true. Whatever we perceive is limited.
right. I guess I was confused at like the infinite good, like if there's like even beyond that or something, like
Beyond infinite.
like but what's like bounding the good, like to
Well, in a way, when we say infinite, we are saying that we don't understand, we don't know, we just know that it continues to exist and have an impact. That's all we're saying. Before we finish the class, I just want to point out to something which is relevant to this week's parsha. There's a commentary on Chumash. It's printed in, there's a Chumash called Moshiach Geulah that has all the famous, the most studied commentary on Chumash. We have it here in school. And level 3, that's what they use for the classes. One of the commentaries there is called Bal HaTurim. Bal HaTurim has amazing gematrias. And I think it says that he was on the way to his chuppah. And on the way to his chuppah, he went through the whole Torah and he created this whole commentary as he was walking to the chuppah.
Who?
His name was Bal HaTurim.
Oh.
Who is the Bal HaTurim? If you know from the halacha class that before the Rambam, there was another book about, after the Rambam, the first book of halacha that came out after Rambam was Turim. This is the person. His name was Rabbi Yaakov Bal HaTurim. Actually, Bal HaTurim means the one who wrote the Turim. He also wrote a commentary on the Chumash. So he has a lot of amazing things there, very short and brief. So one of them is at the end of this week's parsha, it talks about Yishmael, which is the origin of the Arab nations. And at the end of the parsha, the last words it says, and he will fall in the face of his brothers. Rashi says what that means, but the Bal HaTurim says the following, also an open prophecy. And he says, right after these words, the next words are the next parsha, which says, and these are the children of Yitzchak, the offspring of Yitzchak. So it says, this comes to teach us that at the end of days, we're going to see the downfall of the children of Yishmael, which is the Arab nations. And right after that, we're going to see the rise of the children of Yitzchak, which is Moshiach. In other words, I think I mentioned this to you, that throughout history, especially since the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, most of the issues Jewish people had were with the Christians, Catholic, with the Rome, and not with the Arab nation. On the contrary, most of the time, Jews and the Arabs lived peacefully together. It's only recent, in recent times, since Israel became Israel, and it started, and that's what it says clearly here and other places, that at the end of days, before Mashiach comes, the main source of distress for the Jewish people is going to come from the Arab nations. And then we're going to see that their power will fall. And when their power falls, that's when we'll see Mashiach will rise. Yeah.
Do we have any indication now about their falling? Anything you can point out?
Well, you got to read the news to see what's happening. But there's a lot going on, which basically you can interpret that as the falling. They're still not powerless, but they are being sort of challenged by the rest of the world. In other words, for Israel, Iran is today the biggest challenge and the biggest threat. And the rest of the world is beginning to realize that for themselves also. Of course, there's politics involved. People do this and people do that, but it's becoming more and more clear that this is and they're being, for example, there's a lot of sanctions on them, and there are a lot of things where they're being limited. And I guess that's part of the, it's not complete. Complete would mean where they just surrender and it's over. It doesn't mean Cheshvan people have to die. It means their power will surrender and their opposition against Yidden will stop. But we are seeing things happening which are limiting them and weakening them. Yeah.
Do you think like now there's kind of a little bit of revolution going on right there?
But what?
There's like a little bit of revolution going on in Iran.
In Iran right now,
Right.
yeah,
So you
that's
think
right.
it's like a sign of that?
That's also one of the things that's happening is that, the people are recognizing that they're corrupt and that they're controlling their lives and they're killing people for no reason. And there's sort of revolution. We don't know where it's going to go, but even the fact that it's happening shows also the fact that their strongest person a few years ago, the one who was the biggest threat to the Jews, the head of their army, was eliminated. And everyone was shocked because how could you do such a thing? You're going to create such wars with it, and nothing happened. Everyone, all the commentators, right? How is it that Iran never retaliated for killing their strongest, greatest soldier, or greatest general? And the answer is because they don't have, they're weaker.
So is it about the people? Like, is it about like the descendants of Ishmael literally? Or is it about just the power?
Is the power, is there power is there power as a nation, as a country, and so on?
How do we know it's just about the power?
How do we know? Because in general, when Mashiach comes, it's not about destroying people, it's about destroying the power of other nations, the independence of other nations, the opposition of other nations, and the people should live and be well and have a good life. Okay, to be continued. A good Shabbos, everybody. Enjoy your special event on Shabbos.